there's a lot of different resources out there. We talked about web-based applications. We talked about some simple things you can do to instill better safety metrics. Just some simple requirements could not be burdensome to you. You put it on the contractor. You go out there, you do your audits, you do a scorecard. You require them to do certain things. I'm talking to you as a contractor potentially on some projects. So, put it on us to do more. Put it on us to, have a high standard and meet your requirements. And you can start very simple. And, we talked about things such as what's the standard PPE that workers should be working in different situations. If they're carrying something, or doing something with their hands, where's the gloves? Where's the right glove for the situation? When you look at some of the major construction-related losses and injuries, hand safety and slip, trip, and falls tend to be at the top of the list. So if you focus on some of those, higher volume, higher risk activities, that could be a good place to start. And some companies start every meeting internally in the office with a safety topic and discussion, and that leads to good, constant discussions about safety. Again, it's been reoccurring, but those goals and metrics I think are pretty critical. That's a picture of some of our team from the local project over at Behaviour. And I think that's been a good example too. There's been especially during construction, a large labor force locally involved there. And if people did not buy into the safety program, they would not stay at the site. And the people that bought into the safety program, did a tremendous job. They went home safe. We talked about safety all the time. I hope that there was learnings from staff too about safety and why we cared and why we need steel toe boots and things of that nature. So, with that being said, I just wanted to take some time for some questions, and also have a couple of guests here. Livingston and VJ are part of that team over at Behaviour. They're over there every day. If anybody would like to come and visit that water treatment system, it'll be operational for another couple of months. And I want to commend you guys for doing a great job every day, living and breathing safety and caring about it, caring about each other, and doing a great job talking safety. Any questions? Yes.
The biggest challenge to operate in a safe working environment is that most people see safety as an unnecessary cost, a cost to be avoided. They don't believe or know that operating in a safe environment is more economical than operating in an unsafe environment. But how would you explain the impact of a fatality on a contract site? How would it affect the job? What would happen after that happens, after a fatality occurs? The scheduling, the additional costs, the type of inspection, the shutdown, what would happen if a fatality occurs on a site? And how it's over, how would it affect the overall project in terms of cost and so on?
Yeah, I think having a serious injury or, God forbid a fatality is just a horrible thing that could impact many different aspects. And, I just see a lot of behaviors with some local construction activities that I've driven past or seen that just scares me, for those individuals and those people. And I think you mentioned about the cost of safety. The companies that care about safety, if it costs them more, they don't care because they care about their people and they care about the people that are their contractors. But I will say, from what I've seen, contractors that do good safety, do good performance, they tend to have less change orders, they have their stuff together. Some of the contractors I've seen from my work in the Bahamas over the years that have less or worse safety cultures tend to be contractors that struggle to get projects done, tend to go over budget and so forth too. So it's interesting to just have a impression there of that aspect. When contractors have their safety together, they tend to have other things together too.
Yes, but if a fatality occurs, right? First thing that project will be closed. Site will shut down.
Yep.
regulators to when people come in and carry out inspections, find out what will transpire. That will cause delays. It is a cost. If you want to show how it costs more to operate an unsafe environment, we cannot save environment.
Exactly.
So we need to convince people because people don't not buy into it.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
I believe that it is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because they can do without. How will you convince people that it's much more economical, better for them to operate in a safe working environment?
Yeah, I think that example is a good one. Even if somebody gets, significantly injured, not even a fatality, there could be significant costs and ramifications that, go beyond financial even, So, I know my dad worked in shipyards in the 1960s when he was younger, and he used to see people get killed just about every day, things falling on them, and it still impacted them years later, just being around that. So, that's when I say beyond the cost implications or loss of work implications, it can really impact people, And on the contrary, on the other side, when you care about safety, morale tends to be better, people care about each other, it kind of instills that positive morale as well. Any other questions or comments? Great, well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to confirm what you're saying now. I worked in the oil and gas industry in Trinidad, and what the understanding was that the better safety culture that there is in the group is for any contractor is the better the contractor will be. And in terms of behavior-based safety, we had a lot of incidences. I was working on a project once, and the project had various aspects. One was building a tank, right? And the main foreman on the tank was a Costa Rican guy. There was a big World Cup match between Trinidad and Costa Rica, and he went to the match and coming back down on the main highway, speeding along over the speed limit and not wearing a seatbelt. He died in an accident. Well, that should have been a marker, because just a month later, or less than a month later, 2 guys on that same tank died because they weren't wearing a harness. So what I'm saying is that, and the big oil companies now in Trinidad, if you are caught, even if you work in the office, if you are caught on your cell phone in the car, you get a warning, 3 strikes and you're out. That's how serious they are, because what they're saying now is that the culture of the office and the culture of the site is the same culture. If that cancer in the office spreads to the site, the site will be negatively affected, and vice versa. So they're insistent now in that safety culture. You mess around on the road, and it's going to impact. So I like the word safety culture, because it is a culture that has, what they're saying now is that it's a culture that has to be inculcated in all workers, and it's not just a culture. So if you're doing things and getting cuts on your paper cuts, that little, it may seem small, but then there needs to be some adjustment. And once there's if that culture isn't stopped, if that isn't caught, if you don't catch that early, it spreads. It's a cancer that spreads, and the culture must be more and more safe.
And you mentioned the word marker. I like that, because if you have a company that shows unsafe behaviors, something bad might happen. That happens a lot. I remember a root cause analysis for a situation when they did the interview with the company that had they overpressurized the ground. They were doing like an injection in the ground to treat groundwater. And the person mentioned it was too late to turn around. And they just kept ramping up the pressures. They were already out there, they were already spending money, it was too late to turn around, so they just increased that valve and doubled the pressure. And then had a major blow up and asphalt blowing up, and somebody getting pretty bad injuries from it. But that mindset, no, it's not too late to stop. And we always have, every one of us has the ability to say, hey, we need to stop. Let's take a step back. This is getting beyond the risk threshold here. So I think that's an important, a big part of some of the behavior-based safety programs is giving everybody the authority to stop work. If you see something unsafe, you have the authority to stop work, and nobody's going to reprimand you for feeling like, you did the wrong thing. And, if you feel something's unsafe, then the whole team needs to stop.
Yeah, I mean, the oil and gas companies go to a large extent. I mean, the office where I was, there was a little kitchenette. If you put the fork up, turn the fork or the knife up in the sink thing, you get marked. And they say, it's safety behavior. They mark you on so they're that, every little thing counts. They don't mess around, and if you don't take it seriously, you could be warned and then fired.
Yeah, and we did it around the corner at the site here with the rakes, right? The rake was upside down, and somebody stepped on it and smacked in the face. Yeah. And we talked about that a few times when we caught it twice. Was there a hand up in the back?
Yeah, I agree that health and safety, especially construction sites, has a lot to do with each person. I would say having a culture of safety. But sometimes, in most countries, you have to have some legislative law to prevent somebody or to force people to do some of these things. Could you comment on any of those legislators they have in Bahamas here? Or do we need to improve it or
yeah, that's a great question. In the United States, we have OSHA, and if there's a serious injury or fatality, OSHA shows up, and you can be in big trouble as a company and get a big fine, penalty. You could, have marks that you don't get work with other people because of it. I don't know if there's any agency that's really policing safety here and enforcing safety. I know on the environmental side you have DHS. I think Ministry of Works does from an infrastructure standpoint, maybe for building control, right? And some, but yeah, I don't. There's no real enforcement agency in the Bahamas like in OSHA.
There is supposed to be an act, right? Health and safety. Yeah. I don't know how much teeth that gives people, but I would like to believe that the Ministry of Labor or the
yeah. So there is some law, it's just not enforcement, right? Okay.
This may be a question more for our resident contract experts and QS folks, but let's ask it.
Yeah.
Just like Mr. Yucklow brought the question about teeth in terms of, how can we police this or whatever. I guess if we sign a contract with somebody, they agree to it, we just lay out the terms, they agree to it, they're bound by it legally. So I'm wondering, I don't know off the top of my head what the liquidated damages portion of our contracts state. If a guy dies on the site and work is shut down, that's at the contractor's expense. So I'm assuming, if not, maybe we should have something like that, because if we shut down the work, they're owed money and we have to pay. If it's beyond their control. So is that one way to do it? Just you put it in the contract, they sign it, they're bound by it?
No, if you can put it in a contract, put your goals and metrics in a contract.
Right.
And the biggest stick that you have on your contractors is the fact that if they want repeat business, which I can imagine every contractor does, then they have to meet your standards.
Right.
If you set high standards, they're gonna, again, elevate their game. And I've seen that time and time again. And the ones that don't elevate their game, you don't want to use them. They're going to get hurt. They're going to screw up your project. The quality's going to be bad.
Now, I don't want to. One other thing. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't want to. But okay, I worked on site at Bahamar for about 2 years, and it's the guys complain about wearing the glasses because they're inside. It's hot and you're sweaty, and I can't see. And it's that's more dangerous than I'm protecting my eyes. So there's that whole. So the same thing with air protection is I can't hear nothing. So it's if somebody's warning me about something that I can't see, it's I can't hear them. So there's all this pushback. And I guess there has to be some sensible discussion about that, but there's this lack of, I guess, culturally, I don't think we're there yet, like, because you would see it on big construction projects, but, yeah, smaller ones, I mean, yeah, you don't see it at all.
Because we don't enforce.
Well, yeah, and so that's where, like I say, it needs to be, that enforcement. I guess, what was I going with that?
And that's a good point, and you know, I've heard that a lot, but here in the Bahamas, it's hard to change the culture.
Yeah.
But I watched how they did it at Borco. If any of you are over at Grand Bahama, I can probably get you a tour from the safety manager there.
Yeah.
And it's impressive, and you know, you walk around that facility, everybody's wearing the right PPE.
Yeah.
And people are talking to each other about safety. So that's, you know, it can be done, but without the stewardship driving it, it won't get done, you know?
My final thing was, okay, where I was going with that was, as project officers, we have little to no control over who we enter into contracts with. So I don't get to say, like, I want this guy and it happens. The best thing I can do is look at performance scores and stuff like that and say, I think these people are capable and qualified, and I await your final decision. So if I get the guy that came 13th on a list of 5, you know what I mean? It's like, I still gotta work with this guy, you know? And yeah, it's you know, it's not an excuse on my part, but it's really
more
frustrating.
challenging for you if their safety performance isn't
right. And again, I would say to the folks here with the ability to influence those decisions, to make sure that we on the ground as project officers, we do our due diligence and submit the contractor scores, that those scores are respected and considered when they're making decisions.
Yeah, and hopefully in the bid process, you know, there's a score.
Yes.
And maybe if it's not already, you can add safety performance on previous projects.
Yeah. And it should really count for a lot.
Yeah,
It really
yeah.
should.
And I mentioned IS Networld. They'll give a rating. You know, if you have your contractors put their information in IS Networld, they give a rating. So a lot of companies we work for, you know, we have to always be putting our information in IS Networld, and you know, it's kind of a pre-qualification from a safety and insurance standpoint. You know.
We actually do that as part of our pre-qualification section on safety. But I would say that most of the majority of the contractors get 0.
Because
they are very poor.
They failed, but still signing contracts.
You see, somebody doesn't take responsibility for it. Maybe some regulatory body, as I said. So that's what I was trying to get you to bring out when I talk about the effect of a unsafe environment. I know what that affect the contractors, the insurance costs, other issues like, you know, what you mentioned OSHA in the States. But I was working in a big construction site in Jamaica, and quality and safety was at the same level. Safety was as important as quality, and nobody was allowed to work without safety kits. We took responsibility for that. Nobody was allowed on the site without the safety kit.
And you know, I should point out too, it was in January, we started construction on that water treatment system at Bahamar. And that's when I first met Livingston. He showed up at our job site, said he was a carpenter, and asked if we needed additional help and support. And we, you know, trained him on the safety and got him involved, and you know, he's been doing an excellent job. Did you have anything you wanted to add? Sorry to put you on the spot. But thank you. No, it's a good discussion. I'll send you a copy of the presentation. If anyone has any questions, just feel free to reach out.